Willow Creek Springs presents Healthy Living with your host, Joe Grumbine.
And one day he just went a little crazy and tried to kill me, literally. Had me by my neck up against a wall. I remember feeling like I'm losing myself. And pretty much the words, the ways, there was some kind of strange thing that came over him. I don't know what it was, but I knew if I could hang in there, that his younger son would be home soon. So I just had to fight or survive until then. So I did, and I fought with everything I had, and finally he stopped, and I could hear his son coming, so I ran to cover up and grab whatever I could grab, and I finally just left without any thought or care, and had to protect myself, and didn't go back, but I was also not acknowledged for that. My guardian or my mom at that time really just let me go and just didn't really want to acknowledge what was happening. When I came back, because I came back to get my stuff a week later, when she kept begging to see me, I had marks all over my body. I had a ring around my neck where he was strangling me, but still just refusal to understand and be clear on that. So it kind of put me into a place of how important I was there or not, and that also kind of was something on my heart. But this all set the stage for no more. I would not be the victim anymore. At 19, I finally escaped everything that I could and went on my own with nothing. I grabbed my birth certificate, whatever money I had, and the clothes on my back, and I left. And I was still sick. It came right back around that time. And after that, it just kind of became a blur of trying to survive. I was attacked multiple times by people. I woke up one day with a man sitting at my bed with a gun. I can't even tell you how much drama happened in those younger years. But again, it comes down to it made me a very thick-skinned, tough person, and it gave me a choice. You're either a victim or you're a warrior, and you're going to do this with hate in your heart, or you're going to do it with love. And I started really to understand that even the worst of humans has a hurt child inside. I can't tell you how many times that person took me to work with them, and I was forced to go all day with them. I mean, sometimes I was trying to jump out of cars, moving cars, to try to escape what they were doing. And then in between, I was their therapist as a child. They would tell me all of the bad things that happened to them and tragic stuff. And believe me, it was at one point brainwashing a little bit, because they're trying to make you feel bad for them, which is all that they really wanted, is someone to see them. So I became that person for my tormentors, and the biggest one in my life, for a decade. And it really led to me understanding the psyche of somebody in both roles. And didn't bring me down like I think it could on some people. And all of that led to me looking back into my where, that's just one aspect of my life. In between that, there's also the other things to think about, the spiritual side, where I had mentors at a very young age. Not only the church, giving me their information and feeding me the greatest parts of Bible and all that stuff and information, which was this conundrum of like, do I accept? I understand the colonization part of it. I understand that some parts don't fit what I believe or I see. So I had other mentors. There was one in particular, a woman. It's funny because she disappeared. People don't know what to make of this. I don't know what to make of it. She was supposedly a family friend, but yet no one knows of her or who she was. And the home she lived in was on the way to my school, which was in a really nicer place. It took us a long time to get to school. We'd walk very far to go to school. And somehow she was teaching me herbology. She was teaching me how to read energy properly on the body and hands and understand like my natural abilities. And one day when I was about entering into 6th grade, she disappeared and I never saw her again. And nobody ever talked about her or anything. So it was really strange how that happened, but I gained a lot of knowledge from her.
You ever wonder if she really was here in this physical place, or is she just some spirit that came to help you?
The reason I question it is because when I went back, the house, which was beautiful, and it's still there to this day. I know that house.
Okay.
When I went back at the end of the school year, particularly on that leading into the 6th grade, the house was more run down than it was, and there were cages upon cages of things in the backyard, like with pardon me on this, but like dead animals and like different things and really weird stuff, and a lot of weird stuff there that wasn't there before, and very strange. So I don't always share that because people think, oh, you're a witch, and they joke even now to this day. My wife actually calls me a witch. She tells everybody, oh, she's a bruja. And it's a running joke, but at the same time, my first mentor, I believe, was, and she instilled in me a lot of balance when it comes to don't mess with certain things. Know that whatever you put out, you're going to get. So karma was a huge teaching. I learned a lot in that. Like there was some big lessons in that base teaching, but she literally up and vanished. I don't know what happened. I don't know where she went. I don't even think I know if she's really human. I don't know. It's so weird to say it that way, but I've seen some weird stuff, so it don't matter. But I'm sorry, I'm very, very long-winded on all this.
No, this is great.
So after all of that, a lot of work with the church. I kind of knew I wasn't meant for religious stuff, but I was thrown oftentimes into either Christianity or Catholicism. And I understand the backbone. I am grateful for any parts of it that came out with love. I'm not here to judge anybody's religion. I do understand that it has a history in our family. A lot of people were killed with different things when it comes to the native stories, and a lot of things that my grandmother, who's passed away a few years ago, I remember a conversation she was telling me about, and about some missions that are nearby. And so I know that, and then I try not to put that into my belief system, because that was back then and we're in the now. So I do really fully believe that we need to be present, and we need to respect our stories, respect our heritage and our lineage and the people who came before us. We also need to be sure that we're looking at things with a new light in our eyes, a new understanding of where we're at, and because this world really needs more love.
You think?
Yeah, just a little. so yeah, that was kind of my first mentor. Um, then getting out of all of the drama, all of the sexual abuse, I struggled with knowing who I was, and I fought back all the weirdness of myself for a long time. I tried to ignore it, and it really made me feel off because, I mean, someone would be talking to me, and then their loved one is sitting there trying to talk to me, and I'm just trying to ignore it, and I'm like, oh God, like it's so loud when you don't listen, and it's there, like literally. I've had some. We'll have to have that as a just specific talk about what
Oh,
abuse
absolutely. We've already come through about a dozen specific conversations about the lessons and the concepts of these things. We don't ever have to go back and relive them, but we can take what came from them and get into that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's so many stories in one story. Like, um, they always make fun of me that you should write a book. I'm like, yeah, maybe one day, but which part?
Right. We share a lot of these things in common.
Yeah. So, um, I was I just turned 21 when I um truly started talking to my best friend, and I really found a connection with her because we both came from a background of sexual abuse and like all this stuff. And we just never lost connection. And we're still best friends to this day, like 20 years later. And it's weird how it happened because it was so on accident. And there's just no way, because she's always been in like New Mexico and Colorado and different parts. So always moving, and her family's more traditional Navajo. They were always kind of seasonally moving, and it was pretty amazing how we connected somehow. Um, and I remember, and I'll never forget that the story of how I came to have a mentor through Shamasuzi was that, I guess, or I know because they've told me, she would go to her medicine woman, Shamasuzi, and get prayers done at a very young age, and continued that through high school, continued it into going into college at a young age. And she said that Susie saw me in the fire. We read the fire often in the cold. So she said she saw this woman who was crying by the sea. She was crying and talking to the ocean. So and she said that this woman is going to be very big in your life and is going to bring healing, and we're going to bring her here one day. And she had no idea who I was or where or what, but that was what she first saw. And I used to go to the ocean when I first moved to California. I used to go because I lived up on a hill in a garage and go talk to the sea. And it would be in the middle of the night or the early morning, and sometimes I was sad because of all the things I was going through, because how hard it was to move out here, and I was sick again, and I knew it. And fast forward a little bit, when we became friends and finally met in Arizona, um, she said, I don't know why, but I feel like I'm supposed to introduce you to somebody. Would you be open to it? And I said, sure, like I trust you, you know? So one day she said, we're gonna go on a trip and we're gonna meet my Shamasuzi. She didn't tell me what she was or anything like that. Um, I had already had another mentor in the Yucatan. Sorry, I'm going back and forth now.
All right. Yeah.
Because I was, trying to heal and everything. But she said, I'm bringing you here. We went. And the funny thing is, I looked like a Belagana, which means, and please don't take this in a wrong way, but Belagana means white man, like white person. I had dyed my hair and cut it short and dyed it blonde. I was in a crazy phase. And she took me to see this medicine woman in the middle of nowhere. There's no city or town or anything. It's so deep in the reservation. And I'm sitting there and she's really judging me. She's like, there's no way that this is the woman I saw in the fire. Later she told me like, yeah, this is you didn't look like you were supposed to. But after sitting with me for that time frame, she told me you are that person. So she literally did a prayer for me. She knew I was sick. She knew what I was sick with before I even could tell her. She knew all the issues that I had in my life. She read everything in the fire. And she said, sorry.
That's okay.
She told me that I didn't have to worry anymore, that she had a mother, that I had a mother in her. And it was really big because, I didn't have my dad, I didn't have my mom, I didn't have people who really, really took care of me without wanting something in return. And I remember just thinking, wow, like she would just pray for me and she would just tell me things that I needed to hear. And we started working on understanding what I need to do to get healed and better, and gave me tasks. I didn't understand why she would give me these homeworks. Like we would have to go collect medicines from different parts of the country and literally go and drive to get them and do certain things and then meet certain people and trade certain things and all these little tasks. And once they were completed, come back. And then it was like this constant, never ending, not understanding. It always reminds me of Karate Kid where he's making him do wax on, wax
Yeah.
off.
No idea what he was learning. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't know until you know,
Right.
but you know it because there was
But what
so
a
much
blessing though
action.
to have somebody like that, un, maybe it took all the struggles that you had for that person to even be there for you or whatever, but just what an incredible, after all of that, to have a person like that be in your life.
Yeah, she was amazing. She was very stoic. Um, she wouldn't laugh or smile for just anyone. She was very, very big about never saying goodbye if she really liked you. I remember the first time I in a Bella gone away, we say goodbye here, but over there you don't say goodbye, you say hakone, because my spirit wants to see yours again. So, and it was funny at first. She would ignore me and turn her head like I'm not hearing you, until they told me like, hey, you can't say goodbye if you intend to come back. And I was like, okay. So I always learned the hard way, unfortunately, with her, but it was beautiful. And I went to different mountains, different sacred mountains to do different things and carry all her prayers up a mountain and camp and sing the prayers and do all those things. And we did that for a long time, me and my best friend. For the first part of it was about 14 deep years in doing all the tasks and sitting and coming for prayers seasonally and offering, traditional things, because in that way you don't just bring money, you bring a gift that means something for the medicine person. You bring fabric so that family can make something of it, and the fabric has to represent the beauty of what you're looking for in your prayer. And I learned about selfishness versus desire, and want versus I see, and all these things, because the Navajo way or the Ne way means to, without fear, call out to what you want. And that's such a struggle in my head because want means to me in my head that you don't have it already. And I see for me means like, okay, I it's not in my possession, but it's there for me.
Right.
So we would have arguments even with that. So, still questioning, always questioning. But I could see like how it's different because in the way you're raised to understand that it's okay to desire things and you are deserving of your desires. And if you have it in you to want it, it is yours. But you have to own it and you have to call out to it. So the prayers were taught in a very specific way. And it taught me that wanting something for myself is not a bad thing. Where out here I was conditioned to think that, oh, you're selfish, like, you just want. It's like, no, I know that I'm deserving of this. So it was very interesting to get into that place of understanding how to pray for people and then being forced. I was not allowed to learn certain things until I could have like a decent little conversation with her and speak, to who I was, my clan names and things like that. So um, very interesting and kind of tough love in her. My name, because I remember you said that maybe I'll
Yeah.
describe my name. So my first name is Floraina, and that's my first name. But Three Hawk was given to me when I was birthed into a medicine woman. So that is the birth name of my medicine womanship. And once you have visited the sacred mountains and you've collected the tobacco and herbs from the sacred mountains, done ceremony on all sacred mountains, to the Dene, because there's 4 sacred mountains that we really look to as medicine. And I went on one final journey. It just so happened to align with my 40th birthday, which was so strange. And that 40th birthday was on a big number as well. It was 2/22/2022.
Wow.
So I never called myself a medicine woman, even though I was working as one for many, many years, underneath the tutelage of her and other mentors. I was just doing the backbones of all of it and not calling myself anything. Um, I officially was named in 2022 because I finished my task and got the last things that I needed, and they passed the whistle to me. Even that, I remember feeling like extremely